Hello, and welcome to May's Deal Clinic Live. So we have Oliver from Humming Properties. We have Robin Martin, who we've had before. So Robin is back with us. Robin Martin of the Mortgage Tailor. He is our lending expert with you today, as well as Tim Saunders, our investor's voice. Our investor actually and working very closely with our team. Without further ado, I'm going to do a quick introduction about Oliver. Oliver Tucker is, as I mentioned, the director of Humming Properties. Now, Humming Properties has a mission to offer really great property investment solutions to their clients, and they do have a very strict vetting criteria and process. That's because they actually treat all clients as their family. Now, I've spoken with Oliver several times and have really gotten into the nitty-gritty, and he actually sourced for his father. And so that's where that comes from. The way that they look after their clients is the way that they would actually treat and look after their own family, which is absolutely crucial. So the due diligence is substantial, but it's in order to give you realistic returns. And their team includes local partners such as architects and designers, surveyors, mortgage brokers, solicitors, just so that it ensures you have a full 360-degree hands-on service to help you get from A to Z in the most easy and effortless way. Now, their strategies range from buy-to-let to flips and serviced accommodation, amongst others. I'm excited about today's opportunities. We have a buy-to-let, which is a 3-bed house in Leeds, below market value at 16%. I mean, seriously, guys, this is really very rare. So 16% below market value. And also we have a 3-bedroom house in Margate, which has an amazing flip opportunity as well, with all money out. Now, without further ado, I am going to share my screen. I do trust that, you know, my tech abilities are getting better. They most certainly are. And we're going to share with you a video of Oliver's video bites.
Hi everyone, my name is Oliver Tucker, and as the director of Humming Properties, I'd like to welcome you all to our company. We're a young, growing, family-run business and have a combined experience of 50 years in the industry. Our goal is to help as many people as possible expand their property portfolio or start their property journey. We source property deals for our investors and package them so they're easy to manage. There are 2 ways we can do this for you. For UK residents, we can find the deals, negotiate the terms on our client's behalf, and pass them on, or we can offer a full A to Z service. For overseas investors, we package the whole deal. We find it, secure it, negotiate the price on your behalf, then assist you in completing the transaction. We then go on to help you maximize the project, adding value to then sell it or let it. We do this through our connections and power teams. Most of our properties are based in a few pockets in Kent, Maidstone, Ashford, Canterbury, Thanet. We also provide properties in London and in Leeds for the Midlands. We mainly focus on 5 ingredients: how we can add value to the property, the ability to grow, i.e. investment, schools, transport, private sector jobs, the lifestyle with good owner occupation rates and employment figures, rental demand, the urbanisation of the areas with at least 40,000 inhabitants, with dynamic infrastructures and shopping malls, and finally, how established the areas are, history, culture and tourism. We have multiple ways of finding our deals: direct to vendors through online ads, at networking events, pre-auction offers, and maintaining relationships with landlords. Working with Humming Properties means that you will be guided all throughout your property journey with experts and people on the ground working for you here. A seamless experience with warranties, secure transactions, and a quality power team of architects, designers, contractors, mortgage brokers, solicitors, and more. When you book a free consultation, you'll get a bespoke service, including an investment worksheet, an investment guide, a bespoke plan with several options according to your requirements, and exclusivity on all of our property deals. Reach out to our team today and schedule your call to see if and how Humming Properties can help you reach your goals.
Okay, fantastic. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I would love to hand over to Oliver Tucker of Humming Properties. Oliver, over to you.
And mute. Thank you very much for having me, Bonnie, on the show. Thanks to Tim for being here, and Robin also for scheduling this meeting. It's a good opportunity for me to go through what we've got at the moment, how we work. Obviously, the UK, if there are overseas investors out there, is a very dynamic market. It's a very exciting one. So we are just as excited as our investors, really. So I'll just tell you a bit about our company, if that's okay, Bonnie. I'll just try and share my screen here. So Humming Properties, welcome to our company. So I'll briefly introduce myself. So Oliver Tucker, father of 2 beautiful girls and a lucky husband. Multicultural background, as I've travelled quite a lot. I lived in France for 30 years, got married in India, travelled quite a lot with my family. I've got 8 years of teaching in a previous career, 8 years of wealth management, and 4 years in real estate. Bit more actually than that, but so mainly in France, back in the UK about 3 years ago, and full-time now in property, and this is a family run business. So we've got around 60 years of combined experience between us. It's a family run business. We've got a few power teams in place, mainly in Kent, where we are actually located, and also in Leeds for a few reasons that I'll explain after. We do have several strategies, and obviously it will depend on, because we're always hunting for deals, and we're open to quite a few strategies, but the ones we tend to do the most, and the services that we provide for our clients tend to be the BRRs. Okay, so buying a property, adding value to it, and reselling it or refinancing it, flips as well. So we also are starting the rent to rent kind of revolution. It's a trend in the market, but it's a great product and service. So we're looking into that. We have done a few. We've got some viewings this afternoon actually for some service accommodation projects. So obviously all of our services are bespoke. There are several ways, depending on the investor's requirements and depending on the property and how you position yourselves as an investor. Services can range from handing the deal over to literally providing you with an A to Z service from the beginning right until your exit. Okay, obviously we're fully compliant. It's one of the reasons we work with sourcing investments as well. So you can reach out to us on Instagram. You'll find a few of our deals actually there on humming_properties. Okay, now we'll dive straight in just to give you a general kind of overview on how we even look for our deals in the first place. So number one, we look for growth potential. Okay, so it's in the middle there. Now growth potential, will be most of the time urbanized, areas. So minimum 40, 50,000 inhabitants, and not necessarily the big London and Birmingham's, but anywhere between 40, 50, 60,000 inhabitants. If there's growth potential, we'll definitely look into those areas. Obviously the attractivity of the areas, and investment wise, what can we expect in the next few years, anywhere between 2, 5 and 10 years. The second thing we look at once we've found out about an area that has growth potential, and there are many, is we look at heat maps. Okay, so that's the top point there. So a heat map will enable us to kind of figure out very quickly the areas that are really run down a lot and the areas that are already very expensive. Okay, so obviously we're going to position our research of properties according to these maps that are essential for us. And a third point, which is a kind of an obvious one, we're always going to be looking for the rental demand. And that obviously links to the growth potential. And the funny thing is you can go to somewhere like Canterbury, which is about half an hour away from where we are. It's in central Kent. Canterbury, if you look at the rental demand, there is a lot of rental demand, but there's roughly just as much or as many rooms to rent than there are people looking for them. So because there are a lot, it's still quite, you know, attractive. But there are places like in Thanet that we'll see in a minute where lots of people are actually looking for properties, and there aren't enough properties out there in the market as we speak. So these people are the three pillars of our team. So Oliver Tucker, myself as a director, my wife Saguna Tucker, who is an architect. She's a French architect. She's been working for over 15 years. She's done very big projects in the past, you know, ranging from big hotels to Disneyland in Paris, and she's done smaller projects as well. So she's an interior designer as well. So she's done most of our projects, nearly all of our projects, 95% of them, our SA projects, our BRR projects, all the planning and things like that. And this is my father here, who's living the dream there. That was a photo at the beach. So Christopher Tucker, who has anywhere between 35 and 40 years experience in the property game. So he hasn't done rent to rent, but he's done a lot of flips. And the latest one we're actually doing together is a great opportunity just outside of Ipswich, which we purchased again below market value with a lot of value to be added, and that will be finished in about 3 months. Okay, we've also got power teams, so we've got you know, builders, we've got surveyors, we've got mortgage brokers, we've got all the, you know, the qualified you know, people we need on board to get projects you know, humming basically very quickly. And we've also got power teams in the Midlands, especially in Leeds, and I'll talk to you about that in a few seconds. So we've got two main patches. Obviously, we're open to the whole of the UK, but where we are specialised is in Leeds, Yorkshire, and in Kent. Okay, and the reason we are specialised in Leeds is that I actually did a certifying course last year, and I wanted it to be in Leeds because I believe that Leeds is a great city for, you know, capital growth. And as you can see here, the house prices are predicted to grow another 19% in the next 5 years. That's very conservative. Yorkshire is the third largest manufacturing sector in the UK. It's got a steady growth of population, 1% every 2 years. I think they're expecting another 1.5 million inhabitants in the next 2 years or something like that. It's very, very strong. Just over £5 billion worth of developments are in the pipeline, have been signed. Okay, so it's fresh cash coming into that region every single month from overseas as well. Leeds is a second financial hub in the UK, so people raise their eyebrows when they hear this, but it's true. Big things are happening in Leeds, and although the prices have gone up a bit, it's still kind of in a sleeping mode, and there is still a lot of opportunity in the city. Santander moved their headquarters there not long ago. Channel 4 moved their headquarters with, you know, 3,000 or 3,500 employees, you know, not that long ago either. So it's a great place to invest. Obviously, using the heat map and knowing the different areas in Leeds, there are a few places that we are going to avoid when we're looking for these kind of properties. So, for example, Hare Hills, you know, we really avoid the northeast of Leeds, anything around Hare Hills, Holbeck, which is in the west of Leeds. But there are so many good places to invest in Leeds. There's a city centre, obviously. You've got Herdingley, which is in the north. You've got Leeds Dock, which is great. You can even get properties. You can still get properties in South Bank in Leeds for, you know, 100, 120k that are really, really going to pop, we believe, in our opinion, in the next few years. Okay, so I will try now to move on to one of our properties that we have at the moment in Leeds. Hopefully you can still see my screen here. This is a 3-bedroom house in Leeds in LS9, okay, which is kind of east of Leeds. We're on a fair market value of around £107,000. Okay, so you can look all this up. You know, if you check out these properties, you can actually go and see where they're located, and how much the properties, you know, the 3-bedroom houses are going for, with comparables. There are many comparables out there. There are some that are on 109, a few of them on 110, 111. This one we've been able to actually negotiate the price at 90,000. Okay, so this is a mortgageable property. Some of the properties we have are tenanted, okay, and some of them aren't. Now that also is really good for us when we talk to our investors, because some investors want to have a tenant in there from day one. It's maybe an extra cushion for them. If they're overseas, they like to have someone in there straight away. We also do properties where we can let them out for you or with you, because we work very closely with letting agents as well, and they are local to those properties. Okay, we've already sold 4 properties in that same area. Okay, so they are mortgageable. Obviously, I think Robin will touch on this after, but with a deposit of 25%, you can be looking at something that's going to give you, around £600 rent, potentially a bit more, 625 per month. So you're around, £7,000 gross per year. So again, if you've put £25,000 down as a deposit, and you're getting, £6,000 back every year, we're roughly looking at about 3.5 to 4 years to get your money back, and then that's one of the exit strategies anyway. If you just let it out for that time, and your tenant will be paying your mortgage. Okay, so this one needs a very light refurbish. When we say light refurbish, it's around £2,500. There's nothing big or major like doors or windows, so a lick of paint, the carpets, and it's all good. So had quite a lot of interest in this one actually recently. I haven't put all the photos there. There are more photos, obviously. I've got about 10 photos, and if you would like a video or something, I can definitely get hold of those for you. So that's just one of them that we've got. Now this one, we're in direct communication with the landlady and with the agent that we've known for about 4 or 5 years now, Holly. So we have this landlady, for example, has 3 or 4, she has it's 3 left, 3 properties that we can even look into negotiating on your behalf. So I'm not saying you'll get 30% off, but I am saying that if you have one property for 90,000, another one for 70, another one for maybe 110, there's probably room, I reckon, to knock the price down on getting a discount price on the whole, of those 3 properties.
Can I just jump in there very quickly before we move on to
yes.
I just wanted to say that's really strong. So I noticed that the gross yield on that was just under 10%. And just for a heads up on how we calculate, because obviously every agent on our platform utilizes our template, that already takes into consideration the refurb cost. So it's not like other calculations where it excludes any refurb or anything like that. So our calculations actually have included the refurb cost, just to let our viewers know that. And the other thing is, I've had a question in the chat box with regards to Leeds. Chris Kellett has asked, do you source student HMOs in Leeds for the university?
Great question, because the HMO market over there is well, it's booming everywhere in the UK, isn't it? It really is a trend that's coming into play. So we haven't sourced any yet, but we are looking at some, literally since about 1 month. So yeah, we'll definitely be going in that direction. We've had a lot of demand in Leeds and a few other places, and in Kent as well for HMOs. Obviously it makes sense because it's a big student city, Leeds, as well, and with all these families that are moving to Leeds and the surroundings, it's a good idea. So we will be putting them on the platform when they come in, but you can obviously get through to us as well for a bespoke service before going forward.
Amazing, brilliant. Thank you so much for that. And Tim, I can see that you have your hand up, but I just have, I have a question from Ritika, but she's just dropped in another question. So I'm going to pose those to Oliver before we come over to you, Tim, if that's okay. So Ritika has asked, can this be converted into a HMO, first of all?
It's not the aim of the game here, because we don't do HMOs in this area. So it doesn't have, it's a 3-bed. There's no double reception here. You could potentially just have a normal multi-let. I'd have to check. If the area is in an Article 4 area or not. It's just that it doesn't. It's not the kind of configuration. These kind of little houses, the 2 and 3 beds, they're not the best configuration for HMO, if I was very honest. We do, I've had others. We sold one a few weeks ago in Chatham in Kent. It was more of a HMO deal because it was slightly bigger. And there were two reception rooms, and there was more flexibility into it. So I wouldn't say this one would be the best one, because you need to it needs to be when you invest in a HMO, well, when you do it with us anyway, we're really looking at how we're going to market it and how we're going to get it on full as quick as possible, even whilst finishing the refurb if there is one to be done. So they need, communal areas. They need, nice bathrooms. They need, if possible, a bit of a yard or a back, some kind of back garden at the back, so that, they can live nicely together. So no, not this one. Technically, I would have to look into that. If it's possible, it might technically be possible, but there are requirements for the sizes, the size of the rooms, for example. They do have to be 6.5 square meters. I think it would be okay, but it's just, not the right configuration for this one.
And I think that's really important, isn't it? And I'm sure Tim may be able to give us some insight on that as well from an investor's perspective. But I know that when I used to do this myself, it was very much a case of configuration played a big part. And I found the reception room, if you had the second reception room, that was the easiest way to convert, into the additional bedroom, and then depending on what the original amount of rooms were, depends on whether then you need to have a second bathroom.
100%.
Quantity of people per se living in that property. Then thank you for that, Oliver. The next question that Ritika has asked is, can you explain how heat maps guide you to select the right areas?
So what a heat map does is, if we look in our area, for example, or just like if we go to Leeds, for example, you'll see that when the color is dark blue, it's the right extreme of the spectrum. That means it's kind of the cheap areas there, okay, the cheap houses. So and if you go to the red and to the orange, it's the more expensive one. So we believe at Humming Properties that using a heat map like this, or our own kind of we've got our own criteria and formulas that we respect a lot. One of the tools we use is the heat map, but it's not the only tool that you should take into consideration. But it will let you know if it's gone up too much in an area, in a city, you'll be able to obviously understand that there's less potential for growth. If there's a dynamic, the city's dynamic, there's money being poured in, there's all these dynamics, and they're in play, and you can get a property that's not right on the right hand side, which is completely dark blue, but if it's creeping up to turquoise, and there's a bit of investment in the area and things like that, that's what we believe to be a good opportunity, because we think very strongly that in a few years prices will just go up like they did in 2008. Lots of people use these heat maps, and some cities just woke up after others. Like Middlesbrough was kind of, very kind of dead. It took a lot of time to actually recover. But when they did recover these cities, they just went up in 2, 3, 4 years because, and I believe a heat map is a good way. It's one of the ways that we can kind of bet on what's going to happen in the future.
Brilliant. Thank you for that. Really appreciate it. So Ritika, I hope that answers your question. Tim, over to you.
Thank you. Actually, one of my questions was Ritika's question, so that sorts that one out. So Oliver, I noticed that the obviously the discount you managed to be able to get 16%. That's a pretty substantial discount, which is friggin' brilliant. Could you explain a bit about how you managed to get that? Have you got a relationship with the vendors, with the agents?
Yeah, so that's a great question. It's a great question, Tim, and I've many people have asked it over the past week or two. So the juicy ones are the with below market value deals are the ones we most of the time we know the landlord, or we are in a network here of landlords and of agents. It's the same goes for the second property that I'll show you in a minute, which is just round the corner from where I live. Although I'm not physically in Leeds, we've sourced in Leeds before. I go up to Leeds not every month, but every 2 months, every 6 weeks. So we know about the area, and we know about 30, maybe 35 agents in Leeds, and about a third of those we know really well. And we've got people that have already purchased leads, or we've co-sourced as well with a few agencies where we found deals for them even though we're here, and they've gone on to buy properties, sometimes 3 or 4. So this agent, we know her very well. We know the landlady as well. So this is why we believe that if they're still here, because there's been a lot of demand on the third one, in Leeds, but we can actually further discount on some of them as well. So it's all about timing and connections. Yeah. So this is a connection. It's a good 16% below market value, and we have another one that's 20% below market value that's on the platform as well, that nearly went last week, but it's still here. So connections is the answer to your and rapport, is the answer to your question, Tim.
That's really important. I think for especially for overseas guys, having someone that's got the network on the ground and got the people, it's so important. So does this landlord then also have other properties? So let's say an investor bought this one, would they almost sort of get a gateway, if you like, into being able to have access to other properties?
Yeah, so one of my friends has literally got 4 of these in exactly the same area. He bought them about 5 years ago. They've all gone up. He went through a classic mortgage, 25% down. He's really happy now. I think he's refinanced 3 of them. But the good thing here is, I know Leeds is quite a big city, but less than a million. But we actually know the agent really well as well, and I can literally close my eyes. We can ask her to get like 3 or 4 quotes for the paint, for the carpet. It will be done. We'll get the best price. The people that they've been working with for 4, 5, 7 years for some of them. We know the landlady very well as well. So at the end of the day, for them, because they've got portfolios, sometimes it's not even a question of 65 or 90 grand or 93 grand. It's just who they're dealing with, because they're not, some of them aren't even after too much money. I know it sounds pretty bad saying that, but they'd rather have a privileged relationship with someone they can trust, or with an agency they can trust to do business with in a very nice, trustworthy way, than someone they don't really know, even if they get 2,000 or 3,000 or 5,000 pounds more. So we're really in that kind of situation with this landlady, where she's offloading some of her portfolio. On the platform, you'll see another one that's I have to put this one in, I'm sorry, I'm digressing, but the other platform, the other project that's on the platform is another friend of mine who's offloading some of his in Leeds. He's got about 6 or 7 properties, and it's a 3 flat at the top and a commercial unit at the bottom. Now that's just, they're all let out already. There's 3 people at the top. There's someone in the there's solicitors at the bottom. It's ticking away. It's like easy 10-11% yield. And I can probably knock that one down a bit more because I know him and he knows me, and it'll just be a handshake and that's it. We'll get the contracts ready. And so that's, again, relationships, and he can put me through to some of his power team if I needed to, because they're just outside of Leeds in Pontefract. So
I mean,
yeah, the
that's
relationships
awesome.
are very important.
That's really good. I'm really impressed with that. That's great.
Yeah.
I've got a few more questions. I'm conscious of time, so I'll try and crack on as quickly as I can, so then Robin can get in as well. I think this question has come up by someone else as well, but who are the main target tenant types here? And is there any scope to convert that also into service accommodation? Because I know that's a big strategy at the moment for people.
Yeah. So tenants, this one, I think this one's tenanted already. So, you know, there's a lot of housing associations in this particular area. So I mentioned my friend Matthew, who's got 4 of them. They've all been tenanted, you know, non-stop for the last, you know, 6 years or 6.5 years. So this one would be, you know, it's not the high end spec of Leeds, again, but it's, you know, you get money every month basically. So it is next to an area, you know, it's not far from Leeds Dock, and we do believe this whole area is going to continue just going up in price. And I'm not going to say there'll be gentrification in the next 6 months, but you know, some of these areas, we do believe that they'll, you know, demographics will change probably in the next, you know, maybe 3-5 years, because prices are going to go up. It's going to push some of them, you know, to other locations. So,
is it currently social tenants that the
social tenants in this one, yeah.
Okay, brilliant.
Okay.
And then, is there any scope for service accommodation?
I think there could be. I think there could be. Now, is it, again, configuration wise, I don't think it's the best configuration for service accommodation. You know, you'd have to put some more refurb in there for service accommodation. So you'd have to check your figures for return on investment and you know, yield and things like that. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't say right now, as I've marketed that well, this particular project, but you could look into it. Yeah, you could look into it eventually.
Perfect. Okay, brilliant. Thank you so much for that, gentlemen. I'm conscious of time, and so I'd really love to come to Robin and ask for Robin's expert advice here with regards to lending that he can provide on that. But before I hand over to Robin, just to let yourselves know as investors, you know, Robin Martin is the director and owner of the Mortgage Tailor, and they've had 40 years of experience in financing all different types of properties. You know, they put together a very special panel where they can tackle every client on an individual basis. So they really do look at you in your individual circumstances. Whether you're acquiring one property or a portfolio, it really doesn't matter. Now, just like Oliver, Robin and his team actually treat yourselves like members of family, and they really do cultivate and nurture solid relationships that build and grow and actually last a lifetime. So it is with great pleasure that I would like to hand over yourselves to Robin Martin of the Mortgage Tailor. Robin, over to you.
Wow. Well, thank you very much. I actually feel quite moved by your introduction there, Bonnie. You're quite right. We are in a privileged position because we have been working together as a team. There's 3 people in my office, and between us, yeah, we've got over 40 years experience now. I would say there's a reason why I got into advising people, and that was because I bought my first property myself. And then I thought, well, obviously this is something that's going to happen many, many times in people's lives in London. So it's important to know how to buy, where to buy, what to buy, and then which lender is going to be interested in lending to you. So yeah, we started specializing in mortgages. And then 20 plus years later, like Bonnie said, we are now thankfully talking to the grandkids of the first clients we dealt with years ago, you know, and they are still talking to their friends and family and explaining how pleased they are with our services. I think everything in life after, say, 20 odd years in business with the same people does become like a family operation, really, even though we're not related in our office. Unlike Oliver's office, which sounds fantastic. We kind of respect every customer that comes to us. Reason being, again, you always remember the very first customer you had. And when they keep coming back, you think to yourself, we must be doing something right along the way. So I thought I would just explain why do I understand the international perspective to buy a property in the UK? People might ask me that. I'm based just down the road from Oliver, actually. We're based in Kent. Actually, the Garden of Eden, as explained by Constable, the painter. And it is a beautiful place to live. It is a beautiful place to be. And hence, that's why, especially in lockdown, after lockdown, there are a lot of tenants and a lot of people that moved out of London. They said, that's it. I don't want a small cramped flat anymore. I would like somewhere where I can call home, a small garden, a patio, somewhere I can barbecue, enjoy the summers, open parks and so on. So Kent has become quite a fascinating place, even for investors, for many years.
Amazing. Robin, I'm just going to, if you don't mind, I'm just going to jump in here because I'm conscious we've got 15 minutes to run through with the advice that you have on lending as well as the second property. And if investors want to reach out to Robin, please do. I've just dropped in the link to contact Robin and his team.
So can I jump in quickly? A question for Robin as a UK citizen compared to when I was an expat. Robin, what products do you have for me as a UK resident versus expat that would help for this deal, and what would be suitable for an expat?
Yes, there are lots of small points in the criteria that we deal with these specialist banks. So what we like to do is from the very, very beginning is get to know our customer. So I will always, free of charge, I will jump on the phone with anybody and everybody, you know, so let's get to know each other. Let's talk about what passport you have. If you're an expat, you know, do you still have a British passport, for example? If you have moved to the UK or you're gonna move to the UK, there are lots of these different quirks that we can tell the banks individually that these things can come into the mix, if you like, and improve your chances of a better mortgage or a better interest rate with that bank. So just to try to answer your question in a nutshell, which is, you know, rather difficult, but to say that, yes, depending on what passport you've got, but then if you've moved to the UK, and you, for example, have been here long enough, almost long enough to have a track record, a credit track record. So, you know, you've got a credit card now in the UK, you've been renting privately from a landlord, you've put yourselves on the council tax where you live. So that would be very different, wouldn't it, to a client in Australia or a client based in London, Kent, wherever. And we would treat those two things very differently. And try and actually, if you're an expat, we now have direct contacts with some high street banks to help expats according to the criteria to try and get a expat mortgage in the UK from a high street bank, if you see my point.
Amazing. So then with that, Robin, do you have, relating to Oliver's deal that we've just seen, is there anything that you can guide or navigate our investors who are live and also watching on the replay, a particular lender that will actually help them acquire that property that we've just seen with Oliver? I'm just conscious because we've got 10 minutes people left of the show.
That's okay. It depends where they are around the world, doesn't it? And it depends if it's dinner time or bedtime. But no, of course, I was talking privately with Oliver before we started, and perhaps suggested that it might be a bridging deal, this one particularly. Bridging is something we have no problems with for international clients. Again, we can talk about the numbers when anybody's got an individual deal, because it depends how much deposit you can put down and then how much is left. And with bridging, you can add, if it's going to take you 6 months to do the property, and a good agent like Oliver will always advise you how long it's going to take, then we'll have a conversation together. And from there, you'll know how many months interest you want to add to the loan. And then sort of guide you from there, really. What I was going to say was, we love to get involved in the process from the very get-go, because we want to make sure that we're getting enough information from our client to place the correct mortgage, the correct lender. And then we like to keep involved, because there's always going to be bumps in the road. The surveyor might not get in the first time, so we need to rearrange the surveyor. The solicitors might have issues contacting the client, so the solicitor can contact us and we'll contact the client. We don't give up until that mortgage offer funds have been drawn down from the lender to the solicitor and they have bought the property. So there are so many brokers out there that they take their payment, they take their commission, they say thanks and goodbye, and they don't actually do anything from the very beginning of the offer to the completion stage. And I think that's very different about us. We do care. We want that customer to have a better experience from A to B. And yeah, and help them navigate it. So
perfect. So thank you so much for that. I think our viewers can definitely see that you have this ability to really nurture, guide, and have that longevity with regards to the relationship, because as you mentioned, you know, their children and their children's children then come back to you, which really is the proof of the pudding, in that you look after your original client and that they have that trust. They know, like, and trust you to such a degree that their future generations come and work with you, Robin. So thank you so much for that. I have dropped in the chat box for our viewers and any of those that are watching on the replay Robin's contact details, so please do feel free to reach out to Robin with any product. As he mentioned, you know, find the product that you are looking for, the property, the deal, and then reach out to him with regards to what you are able to acquire. We have got a couple of questions with regards to these deals from Andrew and Rakita, but I'm actually going to ask Oliver, if you can just touch very quickly on the Margate deal so that they can see that. And I think then what we'll have to do is I will drop in your details again, and the investors will have to touch base with you that way.
Thanet, Kent. I'm going to be really speedy here, but Thanet is a little, it looks like a little island in the island, because the UK is an island. And Robin probably knows this place pretty well. We've got the only royal harbour in the UK. It's a beautiful place in Ramsgate. We've got Margate just round the corner. Lots of artists, lots of people coming down from London since the pandemic. Okay, like Robin said earlier on. So not to be neglected at all. And we've got a nice bubble here of about probably 150,000 inhabitants. So it's like a big city combined in, you know, 3 or 4 councils. So great location, popular for Londoners. Houses are 23% cheaper than the rest of Kent. All these figures that I'm giving you, by the way, are all they all come from sources. Okay, so you can ask me where the sources come from in the chat on the platform. House prices up 19% 2019. I think that's a bit conservative. Again, it's a source. Manston Airport underway, literally 10 minutes from where I live. Okay, they've just had the green light for an airport. They're thinking of bringing EasyJet and Ryanair probably in about 3.5 years. To connect us to Spain and, you know, France and things like that. 32 miles of coastline, vibrant culture and music hub. It's great. We've got the Turner Contemporary Museum here in Margate. Got the harbour, shops, many artists, painters, musicians, and things like that. So the second property is one that I literally got hold of it on Saturday. Okay, and I've been eyeballing this for the last month and a half. I know the agent. He lives around the corner from where I am in Margate, called Paul. I've seen the vendor. I get on well with him. I've taken one of my power team with me on Saturday, taken the videos, the photos, etc. This is the best area in Margate. Okay, so I was talking about the heat map earlier on. This is kind of an up and going area in Margate called Westbrook. It's literally 3-minute walk from the beaches, 3-4 minutes. It's literally not far from where the house is here. It's a few streets away. It's about 6 or 7 minutes to the train station, Margate train station. It will bring you to London in 1 hour and 22 minutes, I think. So it's really well located. It's the worst house in one of the best streets in this area. They're all going for 400,000, 500,000. Some of them are 600,000. This one is very motivated, this vendor. It's the building on the left hand side here. Okay, so you can see the little white door there. I've got a few photos here. I don't think we'll be able to build anything on this corner here, but we can. There's room for an extension at the back that I've included in the refurb cost, £25,000. Okay, there's an underground room. This is where the tenant, the vendor is. You can see his hand, Michael. That's going to be turned into a cinema room, a games room, or something like that. And I didn't put many photos here, but you'll have to get in touch with me so I can send you a video or something. So £230,000. I'm trying to negotiate it a bit lower than that, even 220, 222. I'm still in talks with both of them. And the fair market value would be anywhere around 400,000. Now that figure, 400,000, has been validated by several agents in the area, okay, in Margate. So we don't just come up with a figure from the heat map. It's real figures that real agents locally are giving us, okay. So great area to invest in. We believe there'd be around 75, maybe pushing up to 80 high spec for the refurb. And yeah, so here, when we're talking about exit strategies, we'd have to go and see our friend Robin and ask him a few questions on that, because lots of the main strategy here would be to build value in about 5 months, do it all up, make it all nice. There are 3 ensuite bedrooms in there. Okay, so it could be potentially for a HMO because there's no Article 4 there. Okay, multi-let, or you could keep it as a normal single let property. Single let would give you around £1,300 per month, and a multi-let would give you about 2,100 because they're ensuite bedrooms. Okay, and all money in would be about 300 roughly. Okay, and money out, if you refinance it, you could probably refinance. One agent said it would go for 415, done up nicely. You can't see the houses around this house, but if you do, you'll see that there are lots of nice houses around next to the seafront. And yeah, that's about it. That was in a nutshell. So this one's in Margate, and we've got 2 like this in Margate. We've got a second one that's will be uploaded probably today or tomorrow on the Sourcing Investments platform. Same kind of configuration. It's a 3-bedroom. Roughly, you're putting 230, 240 in, 60k refurb, so 300k, and we believe that it will go for 400k in the next 4 or 5 months. So we haven't secured it yet, but it's partially secured already with the agent. Okay,
Amazing.
That's about it. And just a few of our projects here. They're not on the platform, but this is a commercial renovation, a wine bar, a huge one we did in Leighton. So that was great. You can see the images here. Everything had to be pulled out and redone. It was a bank before. Okay, you'll probably come across it if you go to Leighton. It's on the main high street. I think it was 180 or 200 square meters. This is service accommodation that we did in London. We converted that into a loft at the top there. There was no loft room before. We turned it into an ensuite. Next to the lamp at the bottom there, that is the bathroom. There's a bathroom ensuite there. So my wife designed it, obviously as an architect and interior design, and it was 95% booking rates on that one.
Brilliant, brilliant.
And
Thank you so much.
residential
Oliver,
renovation.
I'm gonna have to jump in. I'm so sorry.
No.
I would like to thank all of my guests today, my panelists. We have, we've got a very short time, but for those of you who are watching live, as I said at the beginning, you have exclusivity on Oliver's deals today. So please do reach out. I have sent his links into the chat. I really would encourage you to, as you can see from those deals, even the last serviced accommodation that Oliver mentioned, I think nearly 100% occupation rate. Those are numbers that are very rarely heard of. So please do reach out to Oliver, touch base with Oliver with regards to the deals. If you need lending information and mortgage advice, please go to Robin. Robin's link has also been dropped into the comment box. I will very quickly show you how to get in touch with either of the gentlemen. So this is what Oliver's homepage will look like. This is his landing page. He's on his website on our platform. You can see there, this is his window here. With the deals that he has, and there's more, but this is the live chat button. I'm not going to press this, otherwise it will start a live conversation with Oliver. And likewise, if I just move that out the way, you have got the Mortgage Tailor here as well, where you can contact Robin, and there's the live chat button there as well. So to all the live guests, I thank you so much for watching live. For those that you watch on replay, still feel free to reach out to both gentlemen. Their details will be there. If you need any information that you can't find, please contact us at admin@sourcinginvestments.co.uk or myself, Bonnie, at sourcinginvestments.co.uk, and we will happily help you further. I trust that you have enjoyed the show. Please do feel free to join us on the next one. And I would love to thank my panelists and my guests, Oliver Tucker, Robin Martin, and Tim Saunders, for joining me once again this month on Deal Clinic Live. Gentlemen, I thank you, I appreciate you, and I wish you an amazing day.